The ancient Hebrew scriptures foretold of the Anointed One, Yeshua HaMashiach. The Messiah Yeshua came to call the people back to the truth of His word and to follow that righteous path. Yeshua then called Jewish men to be His disciples. Now, after 2,000 years, Beth Goyim Messianic Congregation has that same calling of those Jewish men, teaching the Route 66 King's Highway from Genesis through to Revelation.
3 brief overview sections in relation to this particular Parash reading. Section 1, the Torah. Section 2, how this Parash fits in the New Testament. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Hello everybody there. Welcome to another edition of Road to Emmaus, to learn the path, to walk like Messiah, to follow in His footsteps, to understand your Hebrew roots so that you could be more in love with your Yeshua, because He doesn't like an adulterous wife. All right, you know, because us Jewish men, we don't want our wives to be playing around on us. So here, if you are engrafted into the Hebrew olive tree, let us learn something about your Lord, the Messiah Yeshua. Today we're going to look at Parash number 4, Ve'era. We're actually going to only look at one part of it. We're going to look at Bereshit, Genesis, chapter 22. I'm going to read Genesis 22, verse 1 through 19, because it's all about the son of the promise. After these things, God tested Abraham. He said to him, Abraham. And he answered, Hineni, here I am. He said, take your son, your only son, whom you love, Yitzhak, and go to the land of Moriah. There you are to offer him as a burnt offering on a mountain that I will point out to you. Abraham got up early in the morning, saddled his donkey, and took 2 of his young men with him, together with Yitzhak his son. He cut the wood for the burnt offering, departed, and went toward the place God had told him about. On the 3rd day, Abraham raised his eyes and saw the place in the distance. Abraham said to his young men, stay here with the donkey. I and the boy will go there, worship, and return to you. Abraham took the wood for the burnt offering and laid it on Yitzhak his son. Then he took in his hand the fire and the knife. They both went on together. Yitzhak spoke to Abraham his father. My father, he answered, Hineni, my son. I see the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for the burnt offering? Abraham replied, God will provide Himself the lamb for the burnt offering, my son. And they both went on together. They came to the place God had told him about, and Abraham built an altar there, set the wood in order, bound Yitzhak his son, and laid him on the altar, on the wood. Then Abraham put out his hand and took the knife to his son, but the angel called to him out of heaven, Abraham, Abraham. He answered, Hineni. He said, don't lay your hand on the boy, don't do anything to him, for now I know that you are a man who fears God, because you have not withheld your son, your only son, from me. Abraham raised his eyes and looked, and there behind him was a ram caught in the bushes by its horns. Abraham went and took the ram and offered it up as a burnt offering in the place of his son. Abraham called the place Adonai Yireh, Adonai sees, and said to this day, on the mountain Adonai is seen. The angel of Adonai called Abraham a second time out of heaven. He said, I have sworn by myself, says Adonai, that because you have done this, because you haven't withheld your son, your only son, I will certainly bless you, and I will most certainly increase your descendants to as many as there are stars in the sky and the grains in sand in the seashore. Your descendants will possess the cities of their enemies, and by your descendants the nations of the earth will be blessed, because you obeyed my order. So Abraham returned to his young men. They got up and went together to Beersheba and settled in Beersheba. Well, it's a lot to read, but it's an amazing thing. First, we must look at Abraham had one and only son, Yitzhak. He was the son of the promise. Son of the promise. He rode a donkey for 3 days to a mountain to then offer up his son. As they're climbing the hill, or climbing the mountain, going up the hill, he laid the wood on his son Yitzhak. If somebody is laying the wood on you, how are they putting it on? They're putting it on your back. Yitzhak then says to his father, who's kind of old, he's thinking, hey, Dad, where's the lamb? I see the fire. I got the wood on my back. Hey, Pop, where's the lamb? And Abraham said, God will provide himself the lamb for the burnt offering. Then he binds Yitzhak on the altar and is about to take his life. And the angel of God calls out from heaven, Abraham, Abraham. He says, Hineni, here am I. And he passed the test. And what was caught in the thicket was a ram caught by his horns in a sticker bush. We go over all this because there was another son of the promise. His name is Yeshua, HaMashiach, Yeshua the Messiah, Yeshua the Anointed One. He rode a donkey onto a mountain. The mountain is Jerusalem. Yitzhak rode the donkey to the mountain. Yeshua carried the wood on his back up a hill called Golgotha. Yitzhak, the son of the promise, carried the wood up the hill for his father. Yeshua carried the wood up the hill for his father. Yitzhak was bound on the altar and was going to be given for a sacrifice. Yeshua was bound on the altar on Golgotha because how did you put the cross up? You had to put rocks around it to keep it up. Essentially, you made it an altar. Yeshua was bound to the cross. Yitzhak was bound to the altar. Yitzhak was the son of the promise. Yeshua is the son of the promise. It then goes on in Genesis to say that all the families of the earth will be blessed by Abraham, Yitzhak, and their descendants. All the families of the earth will be blessed once again by those who follow Yeshua the Mashiach and follow his commandments. Finally, it said, Abraham said to Yitzhak, God will provide himself as a burnt offering. Yeshua is that burnt offering because he became our scapegoat on the Hebrew holy day of Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. There are so many parallels that go on in this. I could go on for hours, taking apart each sentence and showing you how it goes together in the New Testament. My friends, you need the whole of God's Bible. You really can't understand what's going on in the New Testament unless you have your Hebrew roots, because then you just go down a different path that you don't need to. Learn your Hebrew roots. Check out our website, bethgoyim.org, and get those Hebrew roots. Shalom, shalom.
The Remnant's Call is a part of Beth Goyim Messianic Congregation in Fairview, New Jersey, USA. Beth Goyim is located right outside of New York City. Beth Goyim is a congregation where Jew and Gentile worship Yeshua the Messiah as one people, following the Route 66 King's Highway, Genesis to Revelation, the only perfect word of Adonai. For more information on this end-time ministry and how you can get back to the proper roots of the faith and a closer walk with God, call 973-338-7800. That's 973-338-7800. Or check out our website, bethgoyim.org. That's BETHGOYIM.org. Or houseofthenations.org. Be with us live on the Lord's Day, Shabbat, Saturday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the sounding of the shofar and the Word of God in English and Spanish. You can also be with us live Tuesday evening at 7:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Messianic Torah Time Bible Study. It's all free. Just click the on-air button. It is that simple. Remember, bethgoim.org or houseofthenations.org. 973-338-7800. 973-338-7800.